Hey, how's it going? I am gonna read you some cards and talk about some stuff. Please look at my signs, just to be safe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I might talk about any kind of thing. But what I'm concerned about is like copyright infringement or something like that. I don't want to do it. So, anyway, I pulled some cards yesterday, and then I did one of my meditation naps, and now my schedule, my diurnal schedule is all messed up again. It's just constantly flipping. Maybe it's matching the I had to start saying it. I didn't have the whole thing thought out. The magnetic pole, it moves. That's what I was gonna liken whatever I was just talking about too. I don't even remember now. Oh yeah, meditation nap. So, wow. You know, like, I've been following like some kind of heavy stuff and that I was been talking about on here that's just ongoing, and then I saw a documentary on Netflix about Kevin Spacey, and I was like, oh my. And then I looked at it and I was like, really, oh my. I'm curious because somewhere before I came across this documentary, well, I have Netflix. They send me notifications all the time, so I knew it was coming. It must have been a trailer that I looked at because if you know the man's history, aside from his acting, is that he was accused of some things, and then he got acquitted in England. I'm not sure. And I think the case that he had here, he was also not found guilty. I don't remember the exact status of it. But I was confused by it a little bit. But then I also know that there's things happening on levels that we are just not really aware of, and that's the world is the way it is to kind of preoccupy us from noticing certain things, because if we did notice them, I have mentioned this from time to time over the course of all of the videos I've made, which is a few hundred more at least than what's listed under this channel's heading, title, whatever. There's at least 400 more other videos that I have made that are on my other channel, Kathy Sample 2, or I had a couple of other channels as well that I no longer have for, I have to say, it's just my technical inability to just, change devices without losing everything. Or like one time I think I got hacked or something, but anyway, that was another 400 videos just gone. I don't even know where. But my point is I've said this a number of times. Oh God, and of course now I'm gonna forget. It's about the things that are going on that we don't necessarily know about, and we kind of don't want to know. There's just layers to everything in life. So I was looking at these acquittals and going, there's an awful lot of people that have had awful things done to them under so many different circumstances, and there's a lot of scorn for the Me Too movement, but the thing to know about that people just, it seems like they can only remember it for like a second, like they blot it out, you know, very soon afterward. Oh, and I do that sort of thing too, and I can understand why for some people this would be the case, but people don't want to tell what happened to them. And I had a number of things happen to me, and some of them were way more affecting than others, you know, and I'm like running around all crying about it because it hurts, you know, and it hurts when no one wants to acknowledge it, especially the people close to you, especially when the people close to you dang well should know better. Like no one wants to deal with it, and they deflect it in all kinds of ways. It ends up hurting the victim that has the things have happened to them. So it's just not good. But what I didn't realize for a long time is the reason why I didn't hear anybody but me making a fuss about it really was because people didn't want to talk about it. But someone made me aware that, yeah, of course it happens to other people. And then I had been made aware, like, right after an incident had happened by someone close to me, and they did say that, you know, it always happens to someone, you know, in the family, or it happens a lot, or something like that. But he said other stuff that made me feel better, so I kind of, like, was all ick. I didn't want to notice that too much, but the thing I didn't notice was that it wasn't just me, and I didn't make the connection then because I was just young and hurt, and that no one wants to talk about it and relive it that's been through it, because when you do, the other people you're telling it to, for reasons like so many, that they don't want to deal with it, don't want to hear it, don't want to talk about it. And that's why it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just extrapolating, or not extrapolating. I don't even know, imagining like what this is that happens with the people that don't want to hurt. Like, you're in pain and you're confused and it just sucks. And you want to tell somebody, you want to be comforted, and everyone's like, you just want attention, and you know, I don't believe you. It's just awful. It makes you feel awful. And so there's an element to a number of things that people indulge in, are in contact with, and just, there's all these nexuses of connections in these, like, churches and entertainment groups, I guess, and governments, and I mean, just so many things where there's these big groups, and you don't really realize corporations have like some kind of collectivity, unionization. I don't know. They have their shared interests, let's say, and that's, if you think about it. Well, if you think about it for a long time, because it's not a first glance thing, it's not even a first decade's glance thing. You just have to, like, get to a point where you're like, this ain't right, and so is this ain't right. And there's so many things that don't fit, but in the not fitting as a group, they fit together, and the puzzle is gross. But that conglomeration of groups have an understanding of human psychology and human psyches, and, you know, with the internet, not like we were super like reserved before this. I mean, maybe we were, but maybe it just looked that way because there was no internet. There was no ability to really, like, branch out and do all of the things that the internet does, which is, it really depends on the user, I have to say, because it can be terrible and awful if you can't, like, defend yourself from all of the stuff that is kind of a result of all of the groups that I was just talking about. Like, this is kind of where they all land to show out, as well as just like normies or randos, whatever. The randoms. Hi, I'm old. Anyway, but it can also be a place for like genuine connections and like love, like helping each other that are like in need of help, and it's just like a way to reach such a larger group of like-minded people that like want to help, you know. And then there's kind of everything in between, because on the other end of that you'll find the grifters and the scammers that are like, oh, nice people. Let's tell them they'll help this thing and appeal to these certain sensibilities that we're able to figure out that they have, because internet. So, I mean, it's like a balance of just like tightrope. Thank you. Like balancing on a tightrope. I just saw a post on YouTube, like a news post. Some dude slackline tightrope. Well, no, not tight. Slack. He slacklined between skyscrapers in some major city, and I saw it and my stomach just flipped. Not for me. Oh, now I got all sidetracked, but something about, oh yeah, walking a tightrope, man, on the internet. I mean, I'm glad that I don't have like children and any other like elderly besides myself to keep an eye on while using the internet. So I mean, the internet gives and internet takes, but isn't that life too? Ah, polarity. So, I pulled 2 different sets of cards, actually, because this took me so long. I actually pulled some tarot cards yesterday and just wasn't feeling it yet to start doing this, and then woke up and whatever. Like, it just took me a long time to get here, so these are next day cards, too. The thing... I pull cards from I can't say it. Light Seers Tarot from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. Well, it's like I have marbles in my mouth. That's an old-timey way of saying I can't talk. But yeah, 2 from this deck. 1 from this deck. Oh, sorry. My hand's in the way. Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. Okay, I'm getting to it. And 1 from the Angel Number deck. And I can't help but notice there's a theme. I pulled from 3 of the decks. Look what I got. I got the Hermit from the Tarot deck. Okay? I got the Bear. I guess I'm like really loving the Bear lately. Okay? The Hermit and the Bear. And Deep Quiet. And the subtitle for this card is Meditation and Stillness. So... I'm not saying that my sleeping and meditating thing has to do with the hermiting, because, or the bear, but you know, and then the deep quiet, it's like I said, I'm sensing a theme. Another thing that I've been seeing a lot of, and when I see repetitions of things, I now know that I need to pay attention to that. So the other thing that I'm seeing a lot of is turn off your devices and get the hell away from them. Which, you know, I don't disagree. It's just, you know, moderation. Like, you don't want to do any one thing too much of Oh my, including using grammar, I guess. Will you quit it? All right, hold on. I'm having a technical difficulty here. I have this little light, and it's little. It's like this big and this wide, and it has a cord that's about that long, and it's right next to the outlet. And that thing, the cord is so stiff, it only wants to go like that way, and it's all like curled, kind of. What I'm saying is I cannot. I have tried to get it to just mount it so many ways, like tried to get it to stick to the wall that's right there. You know, sat it on. It doesn't matter. I have tried so many. It had a stand, but I broke it because it's, you know, inexpensive. And I'm kind of a brute. So screwed that up and cannot figure out an alternate way to semi-permanently mount this particular light. And, you know, I'm not complaining about the inexpensiveness of this thing or the cheap quality, whatever. It works, you know. I feel like I'm the one with the issue, like not the little light, but that thing drives me freaking insane. It just likes to jump off of what I have it set on, like just in the middle of what I'm doing. It doesn't matter if I'm on camera. Like I'll be trying to, you know, see, because it's a light, and that thing will just flop right onto its face and snuff itself out pretty much, except for a little tiny bit of light that is not useful. It's just a frustration. So the other thing is too, like the deep quiet card. I'm always trying to, you know, do something here at my little station. Like I write, it's like my desk basically, because I actually have a desk, but it doesn't work too well with the wheelchair situation, and it's already, a bunch of stuff already lives on top of the desk area. So this is the most convenient, you know, it works, place. So, the turning off the devices and also get outside and just try and get away from all of the electromagnetic and radioactive emissions coming from the little devices. I'm sitting here with a computer and 2 phones. I'm getting fried. But it's like, put that stuff down and get back to yourself, really. And also, like I said, not everything that comes out of these things, the phones, because that's the camera I'm using, is my phone. Hi, I just got startled. Forgot what I was gonna say. Getting away from the phone, something like that. But yes, getting outside, and you know, it's good advice. But also, the stillness, if you're outside, you're much more able to feel it. And if you turn off the devices and leave them inside, which I confess I don't always do, but you know, a lot of times I do just wander out there with nothing, and well, never mind. I was just gonna say, and miss a bunch of messages, but you know, for the most part, they're not urgent. So I'm just, you know, Pavlovian with you saw the alert. I was like, ah! It really did startle me, but I also did have to stifle the impulse to see what the hell just happened there. And often when I'm recording, you know, notifications will just come in, and it's good that I can't see, like, all the lights that are on are pointing at me. So it makes seeing certain things not as easy. Anyway, the other thing about going outside, getting back to the nature and away from the devices, because this guy, he isn't likely to have one, not a phone or a tablet or a laptop or a pager or fax machine, or an electrical outlet. I mean, there's some out in the general area, but what's he got to plug in it, really? No, nothing. And why this guy has full access to all of what the natural world is offering us, that due to all of the radiation and electromagnetic emitting devices, we're just kind of dulled to it even more because we're susceptible to distractions. And that goes back to that organization of octopus tentacle groups that here, let me sound more nutball, control everything. Because I think this is why it happens, and it probably is a good idea if people are not corrupt about it and greedy and self-serving and emotionally detached from other human beings and life forms in general. If they were less that way, I guess there does need to be some sort of overseeing element that just make sure that operations are happening fine. Farmers can be farmers and clerks can be clerks and influencers can be influencers, and it just as long as the transportation has roads to use and electricity for everything that has to be running, that kind of stewardship. But other than that, and making sure we don't poison each other or just have land mines all over the place or something stupid, or you get the idea. But other than that, people can pretty much run themselves if you let them. And then if there needs to be something taken care of along the lines of someone who can't live with the rest of society without in some way hurting or damaging them, well, then obviously something would have to be done. We have a system. It could be better. Maybe we could work on the it could be better part. But there's all these ways that things could be better, but we're so very programmed by all of these controlling elements to be unhealthy, dulled by food and pollution, that don't regulate that for God's sake, because people might sharpen up again and realize what's happening and be there's a lot of things that need to happen when a bunch, that's so not even close to the kind of volume of humans that I mean, millions and millions and millions of people. There has to be some kind of management on a grander scale, but you have to be able to trust the people doing it not to be corrupt and control you in terrible ways. The power of humiliation is immense. The things that we will not do that we will go, the lengths that we'll go to not do something, to appear to not be doing something. We're so concerned about, I guess, what we think other people think of what we're doing. And really, if it's not a crime or hurting someone, people need to back off, In other cases, I mean, I guess it just remains to be determined what has to be done. And I'm talking about the world we actually live in now. What I would love to see is we've had every opportunity to at least start incrementally moving in a direction where things are just better for everyone. But it's that, it's a weird thing. It's the element at the top that wants everything and more of it all the time. And What's their resource for getting it? Us. What's the way to make us do things? Well, I mean, there's a lot of emotions that can be worked on. There's the humiliation thing, like, and it like trickles down, like the grade. One of the things that has always trickled easily down from the top are ways to like harm each other. Great. No, it actually is not great. It's terrible, and it's lazy, and it's greedy, and yeah, it harms other people, which is not the goal in my opinion. So and then to split at least my brain right now again and bring it back to the thing of like, just remember everybody's here doing what they're doing for a bigger reason than what our perceptions and conditioning will allow us to grant everyone else. Like, we have to accept at some point that regardless of what we think and how it makes us feel, the other things happen regardless, and the reason for that is because they have to. We don't have to like it. We just have to navigate our way around or through it when we encounter it. And we don't always have to encounter things. I mean, we do have that level of control, which brings me to something. Sorry, I don't like to do that. Which brings me to something that I saw earlier, and it's so it's so simple, but it makes so much sense. Shoot. Let me see if it's still on here, so I don't want to misquote it. It was, oh my gosh, it actually went, oh, no, oh, shoot. I accidentally refreshed it. Oh, but you know what? Hold on, I know the name of the channel. I have a friend request. We can buy. That is the channel's name on YouTube. Awaken By. And let me see what that quote was, because it was so good. Oh, it's hard when you go to the channel. It's not a video. It was a, well, okay, I can't find it, of course. I thought about writing it down and I didn't. That's a lesson I need to take to heart. No talking. Stop talking. Good grief, they do everything so you cannot shut it off. So the quote basically is you don't need control as much as you need peace. They just, the arrangement of the words was nicer sounding when I saw it. But yeah, I mean, but that's kind of like that weird overarching control element where, like, capitalism, really good, you gotta strive and go for it and be the richest you can, and it just, that kind of thinking fosters this whole attitude of, well, I gotta get it so bad I have to step all over you. And that's where, like, that humiliation thing that I've been talking about in my other videos comes in. So I started watching this Kevin Spacey doc, and it's kind of more of the same, but this man, so I trailed off. I came across the trailer for this, I think is where I saw his brother talking about Kevin Spacey's brother talking about Kevin Spacey. He's got an older brother, and his name escapes me right now, but I will link the trailer. If I don't know if I should. You know what? I'm not going to link it because I don't want to. No offense to the people that made the documentary, but the content is just so yucky. I really don't want to promote what it seems to be saying about the guy, despite the acquittals in his cases, because the linking factor in that you don't want to believe it, but the overarching factors apparently can affect legal trials, and politics can be affected. And it seems easy now, but it wasn't always this way. This has been like a creeping crud of like, these wealthy elements that they want so much, and basically what they want has to be manufactured and created, and like everything they want has to come from the labor of all of these other people, sort of like, I guess, seems pretty evident in their mind below them, that that is their lot in life to serve, which is really supposed to be all of our lot in life. And it is on that other level, like, no matter what it looks like, we are serving each other for that ultimate better good. But while we're in the middle of it and we're not thinking about that particular thing, what we do, I think, need to pay more attention to is, what is going to happen if I make this decision to take this action? And if you make decisions that affect a lot of people that you are in particular not acquainted with, and then also you may have developed a level of disdain and scorn for, well, I mean, you're not going to treat those people very well. And that seems to be what's happened. It seems to be more like, I already have so much, but my welfare is still so much more important than all of these whole other people that I'm sort of responsible for. Who cares? And then that leaves the whole rest of the randos and normies kind of up the creek, like, bro, what the F, man? Like, you're only like however many people, like 20 people maybe in your whole big fat deal, but you're taking an inordinate amount from the whole rest of all of the other people. It's crazy. And I feel like maybe crazy is not the right adjective to use there, but it's like, I'm astounded of like the nerve to think that you deserve, like, oh, you're rich, so that makes you deserve something more. Even that sounds all messed up. Everybody deserves the same thing everybody else deserves. It's just that the tack you take in life is one that you have chosen along with the input of a whole bunch of other souls that are gonna in some way affect you, or vice versa, throughout the time that you are walking the earth. And if you think about it, that's a big deal. And like, I've had like all of this kind of, I don't know, feels like big important stuff on my mind, and like religious concepts and concepts of just being a humane being with, while you're amongst all of the other beings in the world, and how some terrible stuff is going on, and we like don't want to hear about it, or we don't know about it because it's being hidden for God reasons. Who knows why? And I say reasons because it's kind of like, none of your business, it's my reasons, but that also applies to other people. So it's just as opaque. Although everyone, whatever those reasons are, might be for, like, whatever brought them to have the reason is going to differ from person to person. Like, you just don't, it's not necessarily that you're hiding something nefarious. You just might not want to share it because of just like a basic human, like it's embarrassing, or it brings up a bunch of stuff that you don't want to talk about, that maybe you don't want to talk about because you don't feel the need to share it with people that are not part of your inner circle. Reasons. Who knows? But But in those cases, it's like up to us to decide, are you going to do like something good, or are you just going to be like kind of a crappy human? And even when it's your role in the overall scheme of things to be the crappy human, that doesn't mean you're exempt from deciding to change your mind and not be crappy. I mean, I would think that would score the ultimate goal for all of us, is to just overall be as good as we could, and by extension, good to each other. Like, don't just hoard all the good for yourself like some of us do. I mean, I understand the impulse, but people have things that they gotta take care of. Like, they got family, they got friends, they got responsibilities, they got obligations, but there's still stuff we can all do beyond that, you know. And I'm sure I could do more, but I also, don't want to put myself in too much of a position, because let's just say the kind of help that's most helpful, if you can find a way so that it actually gets from you to the person, is to donate. If you're me, I mean, I'm not physically able to go out and do a lot more things than I could probably do, but that's okay. I'm not like saying, okay, then I can't do nothing. Like, what you can do helps. So I'm just gonna show you the tarot cards. The sequence as they came out was the Hermit. Take some time. Like, it almost doesn't even matter what you're thinking about, because in some way, if it leads you to some sort of helpful conclusion, then it was time well spent. Could have to do with something to do with you, that you're blocked in your creativity, or you're having like personality issues and like getting along with people things, or can't stand any more of people kind of things. Like, everything that sends you hermit packing will lead to something if you are open to what's there, because it's not always, it generally is not going to be easy when you run into something and you have to like find a way through, around, or over it. It's a different level of labor or work, whatever. But I mean, it's like having to take a poop every day. It's a good idea to just deal with that stuff when you feel like it's time to. When it's time to go, you should go. And then, what is it? 7 of Pentacles? 6 of Pentacles. So I always see this as, well, I mean, it is an exchange, and a lot of times when I have seen other readers, when I was kind of learning the cards, they would talk about this as like someone, like a benefactor, basically, and obviously that's the one handing out money. But I have looked at it and seen, like, this hand coming from above could just as easily have plucked that out of this person's palm. So to me, it looks like an exchange, and there's good exchanges and there's imbalanced ones, but sometimes the imbalance comes from like the motivation of one of the people making the exchange. So do you want what you want at any cost? As in, what are you willing to pay? What are you willing to give up? Which would be, I feel like that would be like installment payments. So if it's something that it will compromise you, but you really want it, then you can't really, complain about like what you have agreed to. Like if you didn't read the fine print or listen to the voices saying, like, of warning, or did you not intuit yourself a sense of potential danger, that really only has to do with the people, like, let's say, contractually obligated to each other. However, if the contracts are rotten, then they should be exposed and nulled and voided. And that could, that could go two ways. You could come out the victor or the unhappy loser. But either way, it's a choice. It just is something that's come along the path that you probably should deal with. So the next card I pulled was the Magician card, and I feel like, I mean, of course it's pointing to what I was saying earlier about the entities that are sort of levels in the social strata above everyone else, or like the financial bracket strata above everyone else. And by that I mean the Joe Blows and the normies, etc. And it could be like the beneficial influence on just, myriad events that affect lives, or it could be like a more controlling energy. I feel like it's unresolved. Like nothing is settled at the moment. There's too much action and activity going on. Like, if you've seen something still, like biologically in metamorphosis, like a cocoon, maybe there's a certain amount of heat generated, and it is a lot more than you would think for something as small as like an insect, right? Or maybe that's not the right label, species label, whatever. There's a name I can't remember for it. Genus. But there are things that can look cold and dead, but they're alive, and that there are things going on inside. Like healing might look like this in someone in a coma, for example. But what I'm talking about here is just like the generation of heat, because some sort of metamorphosis is happening, or some sort of desired turning of events is either being encouraged or discouraged here. Something is happening, and you can't even get a clear look at this person's face. I mean, it's there, but they're looking down, so you can't get a clear read on their expression, which, they're concentrating, they're looking down at what they're doing. They're in the middle of conjuring up something. And then I got the Justice card, which, could take place could take place in the form of lawsuits. And in the case of, I was just talking about that, sometimes there's the victor. And like, that's what you want. And this guy actually looks, I feel like he's like an okay version of this, because he's got the faithful pet animal next to him, and the King of Pentacles is like the compassionate ruler, and boy, is that is what is needed. But also, I would hope the effect of like good justice. Like there's still a lot of unknowns, I feel like, in all of these cases. So, but I haven't really said like what the deal was with Spacey, and why I don't want to like review or do much more than talk about that show with him in it, because in the trailer where I saw his brother talking, what caught my ear was that he said that his father was abusive physically and mentally, and that Kevin was just like their father. And when you see the brother, he's flamboyantly gay, okay? And I just say flamboyantly like he wasn't like in the middle of a drag show, but if you see the way he dresses, you're like, he's either going on stage or he's like gay, I guess. Which was my thought, and he is gay, so it is what it is. But he came across like the outfit aside, I was like, whoa, this dude is like, you don't come out and make a public statement like that vocally. I'm not talking about his clothes, but he just came out and said like the thing with his father. And but the other thing is that Kevin is just like him, and I was like, whoa, okay. So like my sense when I first heard about Anthony Rapp was, this is going to be a hard one to figure. Like I believed that Kevin Spacey was this aggressor because I knew that he had hid his sexuality for so long, and like after a point where it was like, dude, everybody kind of already knows. Like I just guessed, but people in Hollywood like knew, and because they got to see evidence of it, and it's not a crime anymore. So it was like, bro, why are you being so weird? But you know, do you? It was just like he didn't want to talk about it at all, and that's understandable, but there was just something off about it, and I didn't understand what it was until I watched this video finally. And he has a way, he's like really aggressive, sexually aggressive, I guess, and like that's the thing that you kind of have to worry about. Like I guess it's not this guy, like, but it would be like a rich sort of king level type energy, or even like person or group of people that money, and therefore they have power in whatever industry they're in or around. And for some people, for just a whole lot of people, a disturbing number of people don't seem to understand that just because you got money and just because people like kiss your butt because they know you have money, that doesn't automatically transfer to like them being pawns for you to use and abuse, as you see, you know, as you see as okay, I can't remember. I'm just ruining that. Fit, as you can't just use people as you see fit, and it's not fit. There's no way to treat people. Let people have consent. Like this, there's like a shark or something, allegedly. Like it just moves in on you and strikes, and people are like, whoa, 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 and it's over, and he's just like, it's okay. Oh, triggery. So, but the thing is that guy, I guess, like I've only watched the first episode, and it's like season 1 episode. I'm like, seasons of this? I watched the first season of The Secrets of Playboy, and I was like, yeah, and I knew there were more seasons coming of that, and I was like, I've seen enough. I kind of knew it was that kind of ick, and I was completely right. It's just I don't want to go into it. It's just yucky. So when I saw that there was seasons of this Spacey thing, I was like, I can't. For me, that would be like abusing myself, and not in a good way at all. Like painful thrashings, psychic thrashings. Like, no, thank you. But I mean, I guess like it wasn't money and power with him. I don't know if it was because of the father. The brother seems to think that the father left him alone with the abuse. He doesn't act like he was left alone, and maybe it's carryover from a previous life, but wow, how long has he been dragging, like how many lifetimes has he been dragging that ugliness around? And good God, why? Well, there has to be some kind of purpose for it to exist and to be ferreted out, I guess, discovered. Which brings me to this card, I guess. I feel all of a sudden it's time to talk about this one. So the subtitle is Social Skills. Okay, I'm going to read the paragraph. The problems you have today will eventually disappear. Your guardian angels encourage you to maintain a positive outlook on life, since your luck may be about to change. It is time to put to use your captivating energy and inspirational personality. Don't let your ego get the best of you. Wow, that seems like kind of a turn away from what I was talking about. Because here's what the key words are talking about: hope, optimism, liberation, success, prosperity, excitement, enthusiasm. But all of those words, boy, they are coins with another side, aren't they? And really, so, okay, here's why it's good to see all of that ugliness from all of the places, because it's telling me that that's our world, dude. Like, be aware of what's going on around you so that, like, you can avoid it. And hope, I mean, my goodness, you just have to, like, for me, things are not bad at all. And so being aware of what's not going great for other people, I can have hope that their lives will be better. I can send them hope. The best way I can explain it is to show appreciation for the good things in my life that I do have. And you may be thinking, what the hell can that possibly do for anybody else? Well, one of the things I do when I meditate, or even when I'm not meditating, just kind of whenever I think about it, is when I'm reminding myself how fortunate I am, I think then of people that are not as fortunate, that maybe, don't have like a nice place to live and such easy access to food and clean water and personal space, like a place to put you and your stuff, and also your family. And a lot of people here where I live in this country do not have that. So, but I generally I do, like, I guess it's a form of prayer. So I do definitely send prayers for people in need here in my own country, but I'm also aware that there are a lot more resources for people if they're, have free access and a free ability to move about and take advantage of the access of things. But generally, like food and water, it is hard. I would say it's hard to starve here. It happens, but the number of that incidents here as compared to other places, like places in the Middle East or in Europe or Asia or Africa, wherever it is, there's always somebody worse off. And I don't just sit around and gloat under my beautiful shower how bitchin' it is. I'm like, man, somebody somewhere needs a warm shower, and I want them to feel the comfort that I'm feeling, and I just like send it out. And I do it like with water, because I know that water circulates like everywhere. It does whatever it has to do. It freezes, it dries, it vapors, it clouds. It does like all of the things, and it can get through like places that don't look like there's an opening. The water's inside. You think it's sealed, and then all of a sudden the water's gone out, and you're like, what the hell happened? Water happened. And I feel like you can send energy the same way. And so that's what I do. And you can think I'm kooky nutball and I don't care. I know it's not nothing. Optimism, what I just said. Liberation. Well, a lot of people are freeing themselves from underneath, like, non-disclosure agreements. I think I heard somebody psychic saying that those were not going to be a thing much longer because people are. I don't think there was ever a good idea, a good reason to have one. Like, I'm thinking probably the initial idea was like to protect intellectual property, and then it's not anymore. Just the same way a corporation used to just be a business, and now someone got the bright idea to make a business of people so that the actual people running the business could cheat more, basically, is what I think happens. So, but, when truths come out, especially when people are telling truths, I think that's where liberation happens. And then also, the knowledge that things will get better, and people may think it's sad that like things get better and they didn't happen in like the lifetime of somebody that was suffering so much, but we misinterpret the suffering because we're not humans, but we're beings in human bodies living human experiences. So I mean, it's good to just like keep that in mind, to have that distance between like just letting yourself go and forgetting who you are and just like becoming the experience. You're not supposed to become the experience. You're supposed to experience it, feel it, and have emotions about it, and then move on, I guess, is the idea. I think we run into problems when we start thinking, this is me, this is who I am. It's like, no, it's who you are doing something as someone else for a little while just to see what it's like, basically. Freeing also, because then you're like, if you're having a terrible experience, you're like, oh wait, this ain't really my experience, like I'm just borrowing this experience. It's gonna end at some point, and what you go back to is immensely awesome and beautiful, from what I understand. Success. Why? I'm just saying, getting through one end of the existence from birth to death is success. Prosperity, well, again, subjective. I mean, there are societal norms where, yay, capitalism is great. Have as much stuff as you possibly can. Forget what the manufacturer and use and discard of the packaging, or, the runoff from the manufacturer that's toxic and terrible for everything it touches. Who cares as long as there's more stuff? Like, yeah. That's part of it, I guess. How do you define success? But like, by what metric are you going by? Because I feel like the success and prosperity go together. And it can mean, like I said, it's subjective. It could mean like abundance in the spiritual sense, where you have what you need in life and your fulfillment is achieved not necessarily by working yourself to the bone to buy designer label handbags or shoes or something and living on like top ramen and diet vodka or like, I don't know. I think it's a success when you don't like compromise yourself so badly that it hurts for something cheap and superficial. The success is realizing, hey, you know what's even better is something else that you're not putting yourself out for to get, because work smarter, not harder. And prosperity, I mean, sure, accumulation of this, that, and the other, but learning how to be rich without all the stuff, in a nutshell, I think personally, is prosperity. Excitement. That's my middle name. I get excited about everything. And I guess that's the point. Get excited about everything. It's good. And enthusiasm. Well, I mean, it kind of makes the experience, does it? If you're not enthused about what you're doing, it's only downhill from there, I guess. So, I mean, that's on us, right? If we can get dragged down and depressed or whatever, but what does it take to get out of it? You got to step back, and sometimes you don't want to step back, and forces that be, maybe that's the wrong choice of words, because it's automatically making me think, when I say forces that be, of people, and I'm not thinking of that type of forces. I'm talking more about the spiritual stuff. But when we don't deal with certain things because they are impeding our life progress, then we'll get a bad illness, or we'll lose our jobs, or we'll lose everything and be forced to be homeless. If it means we need to be jolted out of the, like what I was saying, getting locked into the personality that we're borrowing for this lifetime. Sometimes that's what it takes, because we go native with it, and it's like, that's not why we're here. And then when that happens, you're forced to have that time where you're not with other people, and you are, maybe sleep meditating. But you need that deep quiet, that meditation and stillness, away from the chatter of your machines that work so well on our minds, and will work well. That's relative. They're efficient at operation. They just have unintended side effects, or maybe they were intended. Those overarching, entities have a lot of control that we don't even realize, like products that we get and what they do and what they're intended to do and what they do instead, that maybe that is a concern enough that they'll fix it, or it's a concern but it works in their favor, so they don't try too hard to fix things. And not having regulations really helps with that. So I bring that up. Well, what can we do about regulations? Well, pay attention to what's happening with them and freaking vote. Don't stay out of it, because there's too many things that affect you that is just kind of silly. Don't sit there and complain about stuff when you can find out about it very easily, and also have an effect in changing it. If you feel like it needs to be changed, then apply some assistance to the problem. But this card, I just want to mention, this deep quiet meditation and stillness card. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is come back to ourselves and face ourselves. And so the 11, it's 1 and 1, but I also always think, I don't always mention it, but I always think I and I, which if you're Jamaican basically means us, or we all together, or just togetherness. But I and I in particular with the 11 makes sense, because I'm not talking about the joining of the divine masculine and the divine feminine as a man and a woman joining. I'm talking about those sides of us that are inside of us, that when they're not in alignment and not joined, then we are all messed up. Our psyche's out of order, out of phase. And so the 11 indicates the rejoining of those features of us, and that's kind of the goal. that really helps with the grounding, so that you are in the right state of being to receive, when you're like fully in alignment and basically happy and like open, you can receive all kinds of information from higher sources, like your higher self, or the one source, or you just never know who from the spirit world could reach out to you. It could be a relative, it could be some sage of some sort from some era, some ascended master type situation. Like, you just don't know. But the thing is, if we have all this stuff coming in and sort of clouding our attention so much that we can't like expand our minds and open up and sort of drop all of that, really, like, we ingest a lot of stuff that pretty much does absolutely not any good for us. Like, there's really, like, if you can stay away from it, maybe just don't bother. And it's kind of interesting that is like, there's a lot of things that we are warned of by like religion, where like whoever the like God or the Jesus is in the whatever particular religion, they're basically, the ones that I feel like are worth a damn are wanting to help you and uplift you. So it's good to get to that place where you can receive that type of messaging, because ultimately it helps us, it informs us. If we're open to it, then I would think that we're at a level of consciousness where we can do something useful with the information. And even if it comes down to the level of it helps, we think, oh, it's just helping me, and you can't see how it helps anyone else. Well, once you're helped and then you go out in the world and interact, then you're paying it forward, I guess you could say. And so the reason why you want to get there is because, and by get there, I mean get to a point where you're in alignment with yourself, and then you can go out and be in the world and be sort of a useful citizen of the world. You're getting back to yourself, which, if you want to go the male-female route, you can go all the way back to Adam and Eve and go back to the Garden of Eden. Go back to before, where things went awry. And the things have been going awry ever since then. Like in the Bible, that holy book, they're talking about like how the end times are going to be happening for it seems like a lot of the book was what they were talking about. And to see those sort of prophecies through today's lens, well, you actually can. And I have thought, like, well, why isn't anything happening? Well, they've been saying the same thing forever. I just realized really recently and really late in the game that, well, the things have been happening, but it's not going to be announced like on your local news, because for one thing, not everyone is a Christian, which doesn't mean that what they're saying when it's happening isn't going to affect people. And that doesn't also mean that whatever the other holy books are saying, the stuff is probably happening that they have been saying forever was going to happen too. Yeah. And there's lots of indications, like what was I just talking about, the actor, like, all of that is doing things that are sort of like warnings and prohibitions, like, don't do this or it's going to screw up your end times end game. But there's the greed and just like, you don't give a crap about other people. I don't know what the commandment or whatever is for that one, or the word even, but like, we treat each other like crap for the most part, and for profit. That is not good. Like, we commoditize each other. That's that ugly capitalism rearing its head. Yuck. Well, that was lovely, wasn't it? I'm done. Thank you and good night.